Hello, and welcome to the Superintendent Effect, the podcast where we highlight great leaders leading great communities. Today, I am so excited to be joined by Superintendent of Schools for Rudyard School District in Michigan, Dr. Tom McKee. Tom, thank you for joining us today, and thanks for all the work that you do as a superintendent. But why don't you tell all of us a little bit about Rudyard?
Well, thank you for having me first. It's great to be able to talk about the good things that we have going on at our school district. Rudyard is a small K-12 school district in the eastern Upper Peninsula. We serve about 400 square miles of landmass, and we have just under 700 students. We are national forest surrounded.
Wow.
We have our largest occupation around us is corrections officers or the school district, right? We live in a high poverty area where 84% of our population lives at or below the poverty line. But that doesn't stop the amazing things that our kids are doing. Bringing the families into the school, like most small schools, we serve as the community hub for any and everything that happens in our 5 townships. So we are very fortunate.
So you have 5 townships. So what's the total population of your townships?
I mean, all in all, we have about 7,000 people. Of that, there's about 1,000 school-aged students that live in that area, and 700 choose to come to our district.
Okay. Is there another district they can go to as well?
Yeah, we are actually in the Eastern Upper Peninsula. There's 19 total school districts
Okay.
that kids can pick from. We are the 19th largest in the state of Michigan in terms of geographic area, and we are in the top 50 for geographic area east of the Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
So we have a lot of, which I mean, the impact you see for us is 11.5% of our budget is spent on transportation,
Oh, I
right?
bet. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So what's the longest a student might be on a bus? Like an hour?
no, they're hour 45.
Wow. Wow. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
So it's
So
some
tell
of the
me
bus.
about, so can you do the mitten thing when you're Upper
Yeah. So,
Peninsula?
so
Okay. So
here's
where are
here's
you?
uh here's the Lower Peninsula. Here's the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, you got to have two.
Yeah, and we're located right here,
Okay. Oh, you're
the Upper
way up
Peninsula.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, it is it's beautiful though. We have about 40% of our households now have high-speed internet, which is great, right? We're moving in the right direction. And yeah, I mean it's back roads, dirt roads, kids hay in the summer, typical small town rural America.
Yeah. I grew up like that. I grew up in Idaho and I lived in the city that was it was 50 miles away from where our ranch was, but the town that I grew up in has 131 kids in their
Nice.
school district, or the town that I spent my weekends in doing ranch work. It has 131 kids, so I get that, and
Mhm.
it makes for really strong bonds and wonderful opportunities, but it's not an easy life always. So
Yeah, well, and I mean, you said it. There's strong bonds of family,
yeah,
right? We look at our school as a family for the good and the bad, because I believe sometimes that kids in situations like ours, um, they may be held to a higher standard by their teachers and their administrators because we look at those students as our kids,
yeah,
and that's how we feel. So we want the best for our kids, like the old parenting adage where every generation wants better for
right.
the generation they're raising. So that's where we're at, and and it's great. We're seeing some great things come out of Rudyard graduates. We're very fortunate to be able to promote the different things that our kids can do inside the school, but also, what they grow up to be, who they grow up to be. I'm fortunate because I'm a Rudyard graduate.
Oh wow,
Um,
congratulations.
yeah, and in 2004, I graduated from Rudyard High School and headed off to university with not really an idea of what I wanted to do, but I wanted to help people. Then when I got in my first couple courses of organic chemistry, I was like, okay, well, I got to find a different way to help people. So that drew me to early childhood education, and I started out as a preschool teacher, and from there moved up to middle school, which was pretty much the same as preschool. The kids are just a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
and then at 28 years old, I got my first superintendent job in a small town
28.
in 28, yeah, small town in
Wow.
Paradise, Michigan. So,
Okay. And then
yeah,
so how
so
many years have you been a superintendent now?
this is going on my 11th year as a superintendent.
Wow. How many years in Rudyard?
This will be my fourth, starting my fifth year in Rudyard.
Wow. To be 28 and have a superintendent post, I don't think I've ever met anybody that young. And then also you started with such young children using early childhood as your first post. So,
Yeah, yeah, I very fortunate at 28 years old to get the superintendency. And I'll tell you a little bit about Paradise, where I started. Beautiful area. If you've ever heard of the Edmund Fitzgerald, the shipwreck, the Edmund Fitzgerald sank in Whitefish Township.
uh-huh.
That's where I was. That
Oh,
was
wow.
that area. And when I started a K-12 school, we had 12 students total. We had eight staff members, nine including myself, and I served as the K-12 principal and superintendent. And 6 years there, and we were able to grow to just under 80 students, and we had 21 staff members. And we were out of formula, so finances were never an issue. That was some of the most fun that I had to do everything, right? I'm plowing snow, I'm cutting grass, I'm doing the state and federal reports and things like that. And you really kind of learn everything uh, quickly. So any new superintendents, if you can start off in a small school like that, it only helps you for the future, I think.
Wow. So you said eight students in K-12.
12, 12
12.
students.
Did you
Yeah,
have
so there were
one per
yeah,
grade or did you skip some grades every year?
yeah, so there was like so when I started we didn't have any kindergartners. We had two first graders. There were no second, no third, three fourth graders. So I mean it was kind of sporadic. For a lot of reasons, right? It was a town with a population of 400 people. A older community, the average age was about 70 years old. So there just were not a lot of kids left in the town. And as most small areas know that once your school ceases to exist, the town fades away itself. So we were doing everything we could to hold on to, and we started busing in from out of district. And we were able to get some homeschool kids to come back, and we grew our school into something to be proud of. And I turned it over to my administrative assistant, and he's doing great things up there still. So,
You know, you just touched on something so important in our nation, and that is that every child has a right to an education. And it doesn't matter where they live. It doesn't matter if they live in a forest. It doesn't matter if they live in the UP. It doesn't matter if they live on an island in Alaska or a remote island in Hawaii or something. Every child in this country has a right to an education, and it's up to the superintendent to oversee and ensure that that child is getting educated. And to me, that's probably the most sacred call of your work is that you really are called to know every child, whether you're at Clark County School District with 375,000 kids, or you're at Paradise with 12 kids. It's still up to you to know that those kids are being educated. And the only other thing in this country that touches every nook and cranny in the same way that public education does is like our post office, right? I mean, you probably had a post office in that town, and you have a school, and you know it's so important to the future of America that every child, no matter where they are, has that opportunity.
yeah, you're absolutely right. And if I could take that a step further, There are so many barriers in children's lives. Internet connection, last name, ability, parents, there's so many barriers to be in 2026 and we still have zip codes as being one of those barriers is so disheartening. And I think that's where majority of us that get into the superintendency, we're charged with the opportunity to open those floodgates for the kids, right? And remove those barriers. And I think as long as we approach every day like that, it's the most rewarding job.
It is. And you were saying, even you were saying your kids in Rudyard are doing amazing things and have amazing opportunities. I mean, talk about some of those opportunities, because I think a lot of people think that school is just, reading, writing, history, science, and it's so much more today. There's so many more opportunities for kids, and even homeschool parents. I don't think they understand the opportunities that are sitting in their public school for their child. So
Oh,
tell us a little bit about.
100%. And I mean, if we can, at Rudyard, I'm fortunate to work with a great administrative team and I say team, that's my high school principal and my elementary principal and myself. We have 9 colleges and universities that we work with for dual enrollment purposes. We have in our school itself 6 career tech education programs. So we're teaching kids agriculture, we're teaching kids woodworking, mechatronics, how to be an EMT, future teacher program, right? Like future educators.
Yeah.
So we have that, and then we also have the path where we have high school kids that are graduating with 40 to 50 college credits, so saving millions of dollars for all of our area for when they go on to higher ed. And the work experience, I think, is the big thing that we have here. This past year, I had a student that would run an excavator in the morning and then come take English and math and do that. We had kids that were, in the morning they're doing their math and English and science, and they spent the afternoon as an apprentice electrician,
Yeah.
right? So we have so many opportunities, and we try to reach out to, I do try to reach out to the homeschool families and say, look, we're not doing the things that you might see on the news, and
Yeah.
we're not trying to make a money grab here because in Michigan, every kid is equal to dollar amount. But I want your child to come to our school so that they can participate in welding, or they can be, an auto mechanic, or they can add value to our student population by their presence,
Yeah.
right? And that's the big thing. And it's a barrier, and I get it. And parents have the choice. And I love that we live in a country where parents have the choice to be able to say, I'm going to homeschool my child. I'm going to send them to this school, or I'm going to send them to that school based on the opportunities that are afforded to their family. But I think public school gets the brunt of some of that sometimes. And I would say the majority of us are trying to do what's best for all the kids that come through our door.
I 100% agree. I think every educator in America wakes up every day saying, "How am I going to help the kids today?"
Yeah,
And
and if you have a school full of them, which I'm fortunate, we have a school full of educators and support staff that want to be there, that love coming to their job. It just, we've been able. We had a national merit scholar come out of Rudyard, so one of 150 in the nation, and she was one of our students, right? And the pride up and down the hallways and all the teachers for that, and then her peers as well, was, amazing.
and it just shows you that even in a small district like Rudyard, you can go anywhere. You can get anywhere with the
Yeah.
public education if you can be the National Merit Scholar. Hey, speaking of awards, you're going to have to tell me what this means, but you're the 2026 Yooper Super of the Year. Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's a great honor. I was very fortunate. So, Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators, the MASA, is
Yeah.
a great state organization that we have, and Dr. Kerr is an amazing individual who leads that organization. There was a conversation that we had about the whole Upper Peninsula is one region, and we wanted to honor we wanted to have an award that recognized somebody in the region for the good things that they're doing. So there was a committee formed, and sadly, I sat on the committee to help get it formed, and so we were going through all this, and we were able to get some retired superintendents to come in and vote on afterwards. So basically, you had to get nominated, and then those nominations went to the group of retired superintendents. And then at our last meeting of in April, we gave out the award.
That's cool.
Um,
How many upper um, peninsula districts are there?
yeah, there's 79 school districts in the Upper Peninsula.
Wow. And then in the lower Michigan,
Yeah, in Lower Peninsula there
hundreds,
is
right?
yeah, just under 500.
500. Yeah, I mean it's great that regionally because the issues you're dealing with are very different than the issues of Pontiac, or somewhere in the lower. I keep wanting to say lower 48, but that's not what it is in the lower
Right,
part of
right.
Michigan.
Well, sometimes it feels like that, but no, I mean, you're right because one of the things that we always say, uh, the Rudyard kids are no less important than the Romulus kids,
Yeah,
right? Rudyard has 700 kids, Romulus has, you know,
70,000.
13,000. And then to be able to have an award that honored one of those school districts. I'm I don't think I'm the best superintendent in our region, let alone the whole Upper Peninsula. I was very thankful, but I'm just excited that it just speaks to the great things that our staff are doing, right?
Yeah, I
And
love it. I love it. I love, you know, focusing on rural and I mean, I'm assuming most of those 79 are rural.
oh, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Our biggest school system is Marquette, and I think they're in the 600. No, I'm sorry, 6,000 student range. So,
Well,
yeah, mo
I grew up in Idaho and it was very similar. There's southern Idaho and there's northern Idaho and I was 30 before I ever went to northern Idaho. You
yeah,
just they were so separated. There's so much population in southern Idaho and then you get the panhandle that doesn't have as much and you just don't have as many reasons to go up there, I guess.
right.
So they are different. I fully understand that. Well, I loved hearing about all the opportunities for kids. I know that mental health has been a concern for you guys up there, and we're at the Cook Center. We're able to help you with that a little bit, but tell us what you've been experiencing and how we're helping.
Yeah, so I'll tell you that mental health, that's something that keeps me up at night, the mental health of our students. We're only with our students a third of their day.
Hmm.
So that other two-thirds is sometimes scary where we're sending them home to. Um, Making sure that the resources are there. In the state of Michigan alone, uh, there is a few week wait list for day treatment
Hmm.
areas. We're 4 hours away from the closest inpatient psychiatric
Wow.
juvenile mental health facility. And we've had some pretty intense needs coming out of our student population over the last few years, and I think it's constantly increasing. I'm not smart enough to know why. I mean, I have my own theories. Having the ability to work with you guys at the Cook Center and provide that 24/7 opportunities for our students to be able to talk to somebody. Um, Not only helps our students, but it helps our staff because that's who these students were turning to in that two-thirds of the day that they weren't at school
Yeah.
were staff members. And so our staff members now are t carrying around this secondary trauma of, did I say the right thing? Did I provide the right information? Am I being helpful? So I would have staff members that, not only have the burden of being an educator, right? And I say that in the most positive way, but then they have that confidant, guidance person that really put a lot of strain on their own mental health.
Yeah.
And that's the secondary trauma in rural schools is a scary part. I mean, there's so many great things, but I'll go back to we're family, right? So when a family member is experiencing something traumatic or having a hard time coping or living with what they're going through, um, it's all hands on deck. And with the Cook Center and you guys being able to support our students and our community is getting better.
Well, thank you for those kind words, And when you think about your staff, what I love is that, you have the whole parent guidance suite. You have our mental health series platform. You have parent coaching. And I was an inner city school teacher, a million years ago in my life. And the parents would come and they would share things with me, and I didn't have anything to help them with. You know, the parents would come and say, "We're getting a divorce," or my child's not sleeping, or my child is very anxious, or they're depressed, and I've tried to get into a doctor and I can't get into a doctor. And and so you would just carry that all day. But to be able to say to a parent, do you know that the district offers coaching? We can get you a coach today to start helping you and helping you make some plans of how you can help your child. Or, there's my child's self-harming. There's a mental health series that's coming up on that. Or there's a course available. And what I love about our courses is they can even share those out with, I always say their cousin in Kansas or something,
Right.
but they can share those out. So those are there. And I think that having parent guidance available, of course it affects the families, and of course it supports them and supports your community, but I think it also supports the mental health of the teacher, because the teacher then has something to offer. They don't have to carry this burden without anything to help. And like I said, all educators wake up every morning wanting to help. That's what they do.
Yeah,
So,
that's why you got into the job, right?
right.
And I'm just going to look at it through the lens of rural America because that's kind of, where I'm always thinking. Um, but for us being the community hub, we don't have to only educate the students.
Yeah.
We're kind of tasked with educating parents. I mean, that's why at Rudyard this year we're starting a parent university.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have a monthly series where we, are going to provide dinner. We're going to have parents come in. We're going to teach them a little bit about, what's an IEP? How do I support that? What resources are available within our region for mental health? How do I fill out a FAFSA? You know,
Yeah.
just general things that we take for granted sometimes being educators that some parents might not know anything about, especially when you walk into an IEP meeting the first time and they're throwing ASD, ADHD, they're throwing all these letters around and the parents are like, where do I have to sign?
Yeah.
So we want to get to a point where we're not only educating our students, but educating our parents. And we think once we get there, our community, that's an amazing community, is only going to be able to go that much further, right?
That's amazing. And what, just an example of what some districts do is for their mental health series platform, there's 50 seminars a month. There's 50 facilitated seminars a month that are part of the mental health series platform. But some districts are taking one of those and maybe, highlighting it and really, really getting the word out that on March 3rd is all going to be about suicide ideation. And so it adds to your parent university, that you don't have to ask people to come to the gym for it. It's just another thing you could do in the month as parent university is to invite them as a district to one of them. And of course they could go to any of them in the month, but just
Yeah.
sometimes districts are doing that. Let's highlight this topic this month. And so just a
Well, and
suggestion, something to do.
that's what kind of steered me towards the programming that you have, is that a parent could do that from their home. Because some of our monthly topics, we really tailored them back. because we didn't want them to be in a crowded gym with other
Yeah,
people eating pizza and then have a heavy topic
right.
presented to them. So we really kind of pulled back our reins on what we were going to do, but we still now have the opportunity that we can, hey, I know that your daughter's dealing with anxiety and you're having a hard time figuring out how to support her. Here's a video to watch, a course
Yeah.
to take, that you can do on your own time, and away you go.
Yeah, or a coach that will help you through that.
Yeah,
You
yep,
know, the coach is
100%.
amazing on your time. And really, what you just described is exactly how we started. I come from a background of ed tech, and in ed tech we were always doing on-site professional development for teachers and happy to do it. But through the pandemic, that just wasn't an option. So we started kind of during the pandemic. And so when we started thinking about doing these seminars for parents, which came at a request from actually a superintendent in Montana, very similar size, actually maybe even smaller than you, Dillon, Montana. But he's the one who called up and said, "Could you do a seminar for our families?" And so we started what now is the Mental Health Series platform. And so we couldn't we you weren't allowed to go into schools for like the first year of the pandemic. If you weren't part of the staff, even if the school was back in session, they just didn't want you in there. And so we started with doing everything virtually, and people like the anonymity of that. They, especially in a small town. I mean, in a small town, you pull into the doctor's office and people are like, "Why are you sick? Why were you at the doctor's office?"
Yeah.
They see at the pharmacy, "What did you buy?"
Yeah, that's I know that I live that, right?
Yeah.
You know, hey, I
So,
seen you had tacos last night for dinner. Well,
right,
yeah, you saw me
right.
at the grocery store getting the meat. Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's why it's become completely virtual. We don't do the mental health series platform in person at all because that's not what people want. People want to
No.
be able to worry about their things. So, making things available and accessible, like you're saying, 4 hours away, and affordable because, you know, luckily your district is paying the fee, and so it's free to all of your families to have these mental health supports. And then it really reduces stigma when you as a district are saying, "Hey, we're going to talk about these things." People
Yep.
don't they say, "Oh, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one dealing with this." So really amazing work that you're doing. Let me
Well,
ask you just a
we're yeah,
oh, go
we're
ahead.
fortunate. Great staff up here that's buying into it, right? That's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, well, hey, speaking of people and staff and human connection, do you have a story of a time when someone really showed up for you?
Yeah.
I know you're showing up for everybody.
Yeah, there's several. How did I become an educator, right? Like, why did I go into education? And I touched on it a little bit that, I wanted to help people. That was kind of my calling. I thought, oh, I could be a doctor and come back and open a small practice here and, help that way. And, uh, all that came true. I became a doctor, but not of medicine. And I believe I'm helping people, just not making their colds go away.
Yeah.
Um, I had a fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Bickle, that believed in me from the get-go, right? And always did everything she could to make sure that she pushed me and challenged me. And then I go back to I learned a lot through sports, football, basketball, baseball were the three big ones, and I had coaches that pushed all of us. Out of my group of friends, I had there's a college professor, there is another superintendent, there is a vice president of a railroad company,
Wow.
and there's myself, right? And that's from a class of 51.
Yeah, and the
Um,
four of you helped each other rise up,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
continue.
and competition is great.
Yeah,
My biggest supporters and biggest, I guess, cheerleaders have always been like my parents.
yeah.
My dad was a chief of police, and then he was also a counselor at the prison, and he did those at the same time. So he really taught me work ethic. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom that ran a daycare. So she really kind of installed that early childhood and early development and engaging. I mean, that's what kind of helped push me into preschool. I tell everybody that when I figured out I wanted to be a teacher, I had to make sure that I was going to be the tallest in the classroom and also the smartest. So my options were limited. So that's why I started out as a preschool teacher. But I'll give credit to my mom too for kind of installing those early childhood, foundations in me.
Well, and a lot of people again don't understand. They think what happens before you're 10 doesn't even matter, and it's just everything matters. That probably matters the most. As a matter of fact, when we ran the AASA early child cohort, it was called our slogan was early childhood matters most. And I really believe that. So they were so lucky to have you, and so few men are in that position, and there's so many boys that need to see strong men, and so
Well,
that's
well, and I mean, just to see hey, it's okay to sit on a beanbag and read a book, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, or see me come into like the kindergarten or first grade classroom and talk to the kids and talk about their work. I mean, they love it. We've been very fortunate. We at our school we have about 30% of our population is special education, so we've been hiring a lot of one-on-one parapros
oh wow,
over the years. And a lot of our parapros are men. To have like I'll give you a personal example. My son has autism. My son needs a support during the school day for at least halftime. His parapro is a semi-professional playing hockey guy
oh
who's a pretty cool guy.
yeah,
Who that's who my son as a junior was walking around school with all day, right?
yeah,
So we're fortunate to have those kind of connections that we made. I mean, we would go to his hockey games. It was just it's we got a great thing going just
yeah.
up here, and it's we're looking to keep building on it, but it's going well.
Well, I'd love to come and visit up there sometime. Just one quick ending question: what's something a lot of people don't know about you?
Well, I overshare, so pretty much everybody knows everything. No, well, I guess when I was growing up and learning to read, that was probably first, second grade. I just it wasn't connecting, wasn't making sense. When I look at words, they kind of were jumbling. I don't see out of my right eye. I was
Mm.
born with a bubble on my lens, so I have dyslexia due to my vision. So and that's a big hot topic right now in Michigan, the dyslexia. But so I'm a doctorate in education that has struggled with reading his entire life.
Wow,
So.
that's really inspirational to
Yeah,
hear
it's
that you were able to overcome that, and I bet kids love hearing that story
oh
sometimes.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I tell the kids all the time. I mean, that's I'm proud of where I came from.
Yeah.
And that's why ultimately when I wanted to go down the administrator path, this is where I wanted to be. I have probably 15 more years in my career, and I would love to be able to do them all at Rudyard area schools. And if I can do that, I would pass the longest serving superintendent that Rudyard had in the past. So that's kind of my goal.
Well, I I couldn't imagine a better person for the job, and thank you for being such a strong leader, building your strong community. They're very lucky to have you, and I was really honored to get to talk to you today.
Well, well, thank you for all that you guys do, and helping break down the barriers by zip codes. We appreciate that, giving all our people the resources that they need to support themselves.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure.